What's good, family? Man, I missed y'all. And what's crazy about that is I saw y'all last week. I saw y'all last week, but normally I make two videos. And last week I only made one video. Even though I tried to. Thursday, first off, I had a lot going on. You won't believe it. I have a lot going on last week, but it's good to be here. It's good to be back. Hold on for 1 second, y'all. Okay. I had a lot going on last week. Thursday, I really wanted to make a video, but yeah, I just couldn't. I couldn't do it Thursday. But I'm here. I'm here today. We're gonna be talking about the thing I wanted to talk about Thursday. Okay. First off, let me give a thank you to everybody in the chat. Dilly, how you doing? Tasha, how you doing? I said not too long ago that I wanted to make a goal to reach 1,000 subscribers to the channel by the end of the year. Now, it's still possible. I'm not gonna give up hope. It's still possible, but the odds are not really in our favor. Not because of you guys, because I have of course I'm following you guys on your pages on Instagram and Twitter and things like that, and I'm seeing you guys liking, I'm seeing you guys commenting, I'm seeing you guys sharing. So what is the issue? So I look at the actual numbers, like the impression to click ratio. If you guys have a YouTube channel, Tyrion, oh, okay, he's finally catching from the beginning. That's good. That's good. The impression to click ratio, the numbers seem really good. So I'm wondering what the issue is. Now, if you know, like if you guys have been following me for a while, you'll notice it started off small, and then all of a sudden when I started making more videos, I really started to like up the quality of the videos. I reached a really big spike in viewership. Yeah, I see you promoting. I've been promoting on other people's channels as well. So I see you guys. You guys are actually like putting me out there. You guys are helping me, and I appreciate you guys for that. But the problem isn't us. The problem is not us. The problem is YouTube. Because once I reached that spike, and if you notice, I have like it really started when I started doing the Asian videos. When I started doing the Asian videos, those videos started like really getting on. Then I did like a couple of those, and then there were some videos that were starting to get really good views, and then all of a sudden I started getting like copyright strikes, strike after strike, just ridiculous amounts of strikes for everything. Some of the videos were just blocked completely. Like if you didn't see it live that day, you didn't know that it was going to be blocked. You didn't know, you couldn't see it because it would be blocked. There's a whole bunch of people would be like, hey, didn't you make a video? And I'm like, yeah, I made a video. And I would go to YouTube and I would see the video wasn't there. So I would have to go, I would go to the YouTube like settings thing to see why is my video not there. And then they would say my video is not there for copyright or something like that. Just the video's been blocked or taken down. Then people are not getting their notifications. I did this one live. I forgot exactly what live I did, but I did a breakdown of Bill Maher, and Bill Maher had Ben Shapiro and some other person, I forgot his name, but they were having a debate about critical race theory. And under fair use, I did a breakdown of that conversation that they had. Everything is fine. Then I think 2 days later, I found out, it probably got blocked the same day or the next day, but 2 days later, I found out that the whole video, that was one clip. It was like 30 minutes or so, but that was one clip of like an hour and 40-minute video. One clip of that was like 30 minutes, right? The whole video was taken down, just blocked. It was completely blocked. So when my videos get strikes and stuff like that, because I know the rules, I know how to follow the rules, I know how to use things within fair use, I always message YouTube and I'm like, okay, I'm using the fair use policy. So I shouldn't get a strike because this is fair use, because you have a bunch of YouTubers whose whole channel is reacting to all they do is react to another video or a trailer or a game or whatever. Now, technically that is fair use though, so I'm not like hating on them. I'm just saying you can't nitpick when fair use is applied. You can't and especially with black channels get this all the time. With black empowerment channels who talk about black issues, we get this all the time. We get strikes and shadow bans all the time for things that are fair use for other channels and for other people. So each time I try to say to YouTube, I'm like, okay, this is fair use. And eventually they'll drop the strike. With the Bill Maher thing though, I claim that, okay, that's fair use. I didn't play the full video, number one. Number two, the video's in a corner of my screen and I'm constantly pausing it and reacting to it. So that would be considered editing too. It's not like me just playing the video and then me making a comment on it. Okay, so everything I did is in fair use. That's commentary, news, and research are fair use under YouTube's policy. They was like, no, we're not doing that. They said the only option for me to put the video back up is for me to completely take that clip out. So that whole 30-minute reaction that I did in the video had to get erased out the video. That had to get edited completely out the video for me to put the video back up. So once I really started getting traction, YouTube constantly kept battling me and fighting me about it. But we're still here. Of course, we haven't. I mean, we still have more days left to reach the goal. And if we don't, that's fine. That's fine. I'm seeing the benefit of the channel, and the benefit of the channel is not for me to be famous or whatever. The benefit of the channel is for me to help our people get on code. And if I feel like it's benefiting, it doesn't matter if it's 100,000 subscribers or 10 subscribers, as long as it's benefiting, that's the purpose, that's the goal. So we're accomplishing the goal. No matter what it is, no matter how many subscribers we have or don't have, the goal is being accomplished. But I want you guys to know, even the viewers, the people who get to see the viewership, it's doing well. The impressions, which means if you're scrolling on YouTube or whatever and you see me on your recommendations, the impressions to click ratio is actually very good. The problem is that YouTube isn't putting me on people's recommendations like they used to. Once I hit that threshold where I'm on a bunch of people's recommendations, then bam, I'm off people's recommendations. I'm having people, some of my day one subscribers, they're talking about they're just unsubscribed. They just oh, I'm not seeing any of your videos anymore, and they're unsubscribed. Even when you're not subscribed to a YouTube channel, if you watch that channel's content a lot, it will constantly keep coming up on your recommendations almost as if you are subscribed. That's how the algorithm works. So if you're watching every single last one of my videos and then all of a sudden you just unsubscribe and you're not seeing any of it, that's YouTube sabotaging. That's YouTube sabotaging the channel. But it is what it is, though. It is what it is. We're gonna make it regardless. This channel is being beneficial regardless. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're not stopping me. You know, I have audio issues. Sometimes the video freezes up in the middle of it, but that's okay. That's okay. They're not stopping anything. They're not gonna stop me. If they take this whole channel down and I have to start from scratch again, I will just start from scratch again. Okay? They're not gonna stop anything. No, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. Okay? So, but I want to honestly, genuinely thank everybody who has liked, who has subscribed. If this is your first time coming here, please subscribe and then check out some of my other content. But everybody who's liked, everybody who's commented, everybody who's subscribed, everybody who's shared and giving me a shout out on their social media or their YouTube channels. I genuinely appreciate. I noticed that, I recognize that, and I genuinely appreciate that. I honestly really do. Okay, because this is the community helping each other out. Now YouTube, they own some other stuff. YouTube is trying to sabotage us, but they really can't. Once we keep the momentum, because we're still having some good momentum. Once we keep this momentum going, there's really nothing that the YouTube algorithm can do unless they completely just like block the channel. Unless they say, okay, we're just taking the channel down. Unless they do that, there's nothing that they can do to stop us from growing indefinitely. We're still growing regardless. Okay. So let's see. Let me get into, hold on, let me take this down. Take that down right there. There's this one clip. Hold on. One clip on Twitter. I thought it was funny at first. But check this out. This is from the guy from the Young Turks. I keep forgetting how to pronounce his name. His name is Sink Yajur. I believe is how it's pronounced. You guys know I'm bad with pronouncing names, so I'm just gonna call him Sink or Kink. It's CENK. So I don't know if that's a foreign name, if it's Sink or Kink or whatever. I'm gonna call it Sink. Because Kink sounds just I don't know. Anyway, this clip, I guess this was a small little couple-minute video clip. I'm gonna play it for you guys, and then we're gonna really get into it, because this is what made me talk about the Young Turks, specifically him. Okay. So you know YouTube, we already discussed, everything I'm playing in this video is going to be under the fair use policy. Every single clip from this video is fair use. When they attack black Oh, somebody says there's no audio. And yeah, they mess with my audio a lot too. Hold on, let me see something. Yep, no audio. Ooh. Gotcha. That's how. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Now you guys, can you guys hear it now? Let me see. And YouTube with my audio. I do an audio check all the time. Oh Lord. Audio all the time.
The world has ever seen. And so don't you dare.
Okay. The audio should be working now, right? Let me take it back from the beginning. Thanks for telling me, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for telling me. Taking them back from the beginning.
When they attack black people after they've been murdered, when they did absolutely nothing wrong, you're pushing us to the limit. And what do I mean by that? You're asking us to talk about history, the history of the South. This is in Georgia. What happened in Georgia? There were savages in Georgia. It was the ancestors of the white right-wingers. They were absolute savages. They murdered people, they lynched people, they raped people, they enslaved people. They took babies from their mothers and sold them as property. You want to talk about savages? Your ancestors were the biggest savages the world has ever seen. So don't you dare call a black man a savage after you murdered him. Don't you dare do that. I'm so sick of African Americans being called violent when the world's worst violence was done to them, not by them, to them, not by them. For God's sake, you want to do racist stereotypes? If it fit anywhere, and it doesn't, but if it fit anywhere, it would certainly fit white right-wingers in the South, who has hundreds of years of history of being savages. Savages. They snatched babies and they sold them as property and they raped their mothers. Savages. That's what they were. You want to talk about stereotypes? Screw all of you who still defend that Confederacy, that monstrosity. Anyone who defends that is a barbaric savage.
Okay. Okay. Let's break that down for a little bit, right? Let's break that down. First off, were those white people savages? Yeah. Yeah, they were. Secondly, him yelling and screaming and doing all this extra stuff, he looked like I'm not impressed by that. I'm not impressed by that. Now, the reason that this caught my attention is because this caption by this black person says, "Lord, protect this man." Really? Lord, protect this man. Okay, dude. Dude, really? Let me ask, because my issue is the fact that too many black people, not us, but too many black people are super impressed by not, now he's white. He's from Turkey, but if you look at his damn driver's license, it's going to say white. A lot of them identify as white even when they come over here, okay? But he's Turkish, okay? Too many non-black people, all they have to say is racism was bad, slavery was bad. And you got Negroes like this, "Lord, protect this man. Lord, protect him." Oh my God. This dude has not said anything we have not heard from a black person. We have not heard articulated more intelligently, actually, from a black person years and years before. He hasn't said anything new. Every black person knows what he's saying. Just because this dude is talking as if he's passionate. Savages. They're savages. If you want to play a drinking game, drink every time he says savage. Savages. Okay. Yes, they were. Okay. Notice how, and I see you guys have, notice how this dude puts all of the slave owners and all the racist white people. Notice how he puts all of them under the right wing. He's like the ancestors of the right wing. Some of you guys caught that, but let me go back. I think he says like right about here.
When they did absolutely nothing wrong, you're pushing us to the limit. And what do I mean by that? You're asking us to talk about history, the history of the South. This is in Georgia. What happened in Georgia? There were savages in Georgia. It was the ancestors of the white right-wingers.
Okay. He's going to say it's the ancestors of the white right-wingers. No, it's just white people. Okay? It is white people. It's the ancestors of white people in America. We're not going to say that's the ancestors of that political party. Do you guys know that Joe Biden, not to anybody's surprise, because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but Joe Biden is a descendant of slave owners. You can look that up. That's not me lying, or that's not me exaggerating. All of you guys can look that up. Google that. Joe Biden is a descendant of slave owners, okay? And he is a Democrat. How many Democratic people are descended from slave owners? So we're not going to say, well, slave owners, they're the descendants, they're the ancestors of the right wing. So the Democratic white people, they're the good white people, and the Republican white people. They're the bad white people. No, no, no. All of them had the same ancestors. The white people back then, they would flip-flop between whichever political party benefited them the most at the time. White people do that to this day too. There's white people who voted for Donald Trump in 2012 and didn't vote for him in 2020. They switched their political agenda. Does that mean that they switched their ancestry? Let's just be logical. If the ancestors of the white ringers, if they're the ones who did slavery, right? And now you're not a white ringer, now you're a Democrat. Does that change your ancestry? Does it change your ancestry? Why he's trying to put all racism, and this is something that the Young Turks, especially him, this is something that they do. They like to label all racism. They only talk about racism from the extreme far Trump supporting MAGA right. Not defending them at all, but they by far are not the only group that's racist. Us in intelligent black society, we understand that the Democrats and Republicans, that's just two sides of one coin. That's just two wings on the same bird of white supremacy. We understand that. We know, okay, the Democrats are racist, but that doesn't mean the Republicans aren't racist, and the Republicans are racist. That doesn't mean the Democrats aren't racist. We understand that. They're trying to trick and lie, okay? First thing, okay. Then he goes on, savages, savages, savages. Okay. I don't know if he was trying to win an Oscar, because this dude just seemed like he was just...
You want to talk about stereotypes? Screw all of you who still defend that Confederacy, that monstrosity. Anyone who defends that is a barbaric savage.
Okay. I mean, the dude just going all like, just, dude, calm down. Chill out. Dude, you're not even black. He's not black. He's not even a black dude sitting up there going off, looking like he's about to cry in anger. Like, dude, I don't know if you're trying to, I don't know what you're trying to do. I don't know if the viewership is low, if the ratings are down, and you trying to boost the ratings up. I mean, I get it, I guess, but come on, man. Really? But the thing is, oh, Lord, protect this man. Y'all acting like this dude said something that was really outstanding, phenomenal. This dude has not said anything that hasn't been said generations and generations before him, even better. And then I'm seeing people, now a lot of people started dragging him. A lot of people are like, this dude does not support reparations. But there was a bunch of people like, oh, I'm gonna follow him on all his social media. A whole bunch of, oh my God, I can't believe he said it. Dude, listen. We have to stop being so impressed. And when I say we, I mean black people as a collective, not clearly not us. But why are Negroes so impressed when basic common sense comes out of the lips of a non-black person? You have whole black scholars who broke things down in ways more articulated, more educated, more researched than any other non-black person. But you have a non-black person say, you know what? I think police brutality is wrong and Black Lives Matter. And then you got Negroes wiping tears from their eyes like, he really understands our pain. He understands. He gets us. Lord Jesus Christ, please protect him. It's our only hope. Like, with this damn white messiah complex, can y'all stop, please? Lord, like this is, Lord, protect this man. This is one of the most cringy quotes I've seen in the longest time. For saying what? Protect who? Protect him from what? What do we need him for? He can be gone tomorrow and we won't change. Lord, I mean, God. Is the bar and that's my thing. Why is the bar so low for non-black people? For black people, you gotta, for us to stand up and for us to like support each other, you got to be educated on all the subjects you talk about. You got to, I mean, you got to be like top tier. You have niggas be like, oh yeah, here you go with that conspiracy stuff again. Oh, here you go with that pro-black stuff again. Not too long ago, you got Coons who was making fun of you for being quote pro-black. Yo, you one of those pro-black assalamu alaikum niggas. You one of them. Now the roles are reversed, and now the Coons are on the run because a huge amount of black people have knowledge of self now, and now we're on code. But all these people who would shit on the pro-black people for being too quote pro-black. Too pro-black doesn't make any sense for being too pro-black or whatever. They would give Messiah type credit to a non-black, even if it's not a white person, even though he's white, but he's kind of like in that white ethnic group type thing. A non-black person says something about black people, and here they are, I mean, willing to bow down. This dude wants to go to church and pray that this man lives a long, healthy life. Lord, protect this man. Ain't nobody trying to harm this dude because he ain't did nothing. He hasn't said anything. Not for black people. But the thing is that this dude, as passionate as he was about defending black people from being called savages, right? He doesn't support reparations. He has been, and I've been going through, now when I find out about this, right, I've been going through tons and tons of things because you'll have the Young Turks supporters come up here and they'll talk about, oh yeah, he had this, he supported reparations. I've searched through all of his social media and the Young Turks, because he has his own, and the Young Turks have their own, like a lot of like big networks. You have like the host will have especially if he's a big profile, will have his own social media, and then like the channel itself will have its own social media. So I'm searching through the Young Turks social media, and I'm searching through his social media. Nowhere can I find where he stated he supports reparations. Him directly supporting reparations. And in fact, I see him in many times completely avoiding the topic of reparations. Even though people's been tagging him, asking him, sitting up there commenting on him, reparations. What do you have to say about reparations for the descendants of slaves? What do you have to say about that? Nothing. He is completely silent on the topic of reparations. Okay, all right then. Except when he feels like it can give him a boost to fight against the Republicans. Now, the time I hear him talk about reparations is only when the Republicans say something anti-reparations. And then he addresses really the Republican. He doesn't even really state his support for reparations. Okay. Oh, wait, no, that's not the clip. I want to show you that clip a little bit later, actually, to get on the female host. The female host. But let me not spoil anything. Let me close this right now while I pull that clip up. Okay. Because I got an issue with her specifically, too. All right, here we go. Here we go, y'all. Now it's coming up.
Continue to negatively impact the.
Now this is because Laura Ingraham, and come on, we already know how racist Laura Ingraham. She made a comment on reparations. Somebody's Professor Black Truth has been calling them out for a while now. Yeah, he has. Oh, he has. He's been calling them out for a good minute, for a good minute now.
It's called, the Ottoman Empire had to shrink back. We had a totally different map and throughout Europe and Asia. I mean, that's just not the way the world is. I mean, they want to live in a fake world where, I mean, as Trump always says, you don't get do-overs. No do-overs. That's it. And it was there was an argument sometime, I think it was 1980s. There was a quote, "You won, we lost, that's that."
So if you're a descendant of a slave and your ancestors were not only enslaved, but lynched, treated horrifically. And by the way, that, in addition to Jim Crow laws, continue to negatively impact the wealth of Black Americans today. You don't get a do-over, according to Laura Ingraham.
Yeah, well, look, in the context of slavery, saying we won, you lost, that's
disgusting.
Bad. I mean, it's hard to be worse than that. That's what the conversation was about. It was about reparations, okay? So now the reality is we do reparations all the time. Now, if you were to say we have to strike a balance on how far back we can go, that's an interesting conversation. So, for example, we shot down in 1988 an Iranian plane. It had 290.
Now, pay attention to what he's not saying. He's not saying he supports reparations. And when we say reparations, we mean cash payment reparations. We don't mean school loans. We don't mean an apology. We don't mean anything like that, right?
Civilians in it. In 96, you know what we did? We paid them reparations because we were wrong. And we killed all those civilians. We often pay for civilian deaths, and that is a form of reparations. In fact, with Native Americans, Harry Truman and some presidents after him offered money for the land that was stolen from the Native American tribes, because Truman and the other presidents acknowledged we stole them. We had deals. We went back on those deals. Sioux Nation to this day has not taken that deal. So technically, they actually own some of that land in South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, et cetera. And so reparations is a normal part of history as well. She mentioned the Ottoman Empire. There was a lot of people that were moved when the Ottoman Empire was split up. And so some Christians and Muslims went back and forth, and then sometimes there was compensation. So it does happen. Now, on the other hand, if you said, look, we can't go back to the Mongols and go, hey, the Mongols should compensate the people in Iraq for when Genghis Khan rolled through.
Now here he goes, and this is something that the white liberals do. What the white liberals do is when you bring up the topic of reparations, I want you to pay. You can look at him. You can look at Kamala Harris. You can look at AOC. You can look at a whole bunch of these white liberals or wannabe white liberals on the left, right? When they bring up the topic of reparations, notice how every single time they bring that up, they don't bring up the wealth gap between Black people, the Black society and white society, Black society and really everybody, but especially white society. They don't bring that up. They don't bring up the fact that, okay, yeah, you have been sabotaging Black people since slavery till now, and there is a huge wealth gap, and we need to get to it. Right now, all they bring up, what they do is when they bring up things about tangible things, about Black people benefiting, they go through this long, drawn-out history. Okay, well, let's talk about history. Look how slow he's talking about. Now he's talking about subjects that it doesn't even have to do with Black people. Look how they're running the clock, like Tariq said, I think a video or two ago. This talk, this going around in circles. Notice how they don't really get to the point of Black people deserving reparations. He never states that Black people deserve cash payment reparations.
Town and killed 800,000 people living in Baghdad. Yes, you can't go back that far. So is there a reasonable conversation to have? Yes. Was what she did reasonable? No. Basically, like, who cares? We won. Fun fact. Yeah.
What he said is there a reasonable conversation to have, which means he's saying there is an argument that Black people shouldn't deserve reparations. That's what he said. Those are not my words, those are his words. He's saying Black people, well, I mean, it is far back. We can't go with the Ottoman Empire. So is there a reasonable conversation? What's the conversation? The conversation is, should Black people get reparations? One person's on one side, one person's on the other side. And it's reasonable. He's saying Black people not getting reparations is reasonable. That's what he is saying. Then they have the
One thing that a lot
yes.
of people
But
often forget, it's not really a fun fact, is that we did offer reparations in the aftermath of the Civil War.
Now,
we gave them to white slave owners.
As
We
true as that
compensated
is,
them
as true
for
as that is, yeah,
$300
okay.
per free.
Like I'm saying, they're not saying anything like really, like we didn't know. No, we all knew that. Everybody know that. But
So,
right here.
and what happened when all of you guys lost your houses and we lost 8 million jobs and so at 40 acres and a mule, we went back on that promise. And so, and what happened when all of you guys lost your houses and we lost 8 million jobs in the economic crash? Did you get any kind of compensation? No. You know who got compensated? The bankers who caused the crash.
I'm specifically
so that
looking
kind of
for.
injustice. I'm not comparing the two because slavery is way worse, obviously, right? But in terms of an analogy where the people who did the wrong wind up getting compensated and the people who got screwed get nothing, that's also happened for time immemorial.
And just real quick, going.
Okay, right there. Look at this. Let me make this. This is a conversation about reparations, right? This is a conversation about reparations. This is an interesting cast, don't you think? That's an interesting cast of people to discuss slavery reparations. That's really interesting to me. Because I see white people. I don't see any black people on this talking about reparations. I mean, the few times he does talk about reparations, and he's only talking about it to counter a point of the Republicans. And then he goes on to talk about all these reparations and everything. Okay. But even out of his own words, there's an argument that we don't deserve reparations because it happened so long ago. It's a conversation that can happen. But you don't even see black people on the panel, although he stands up for black people. Look how passionate he was about black people. Oh, okay. Made me think. Let me close this. I see you guys in here. Oh, liked and shared. Thank you so much, Tia. Thank you. Okay. So this thing about reparations, right? Now, what the cast is interesting for him to talk about reparations and not have a black person on the thing. That's interesting. That's interesting to me. Now, he actually has had black reporters, if you guys didn't know. There's a black reporter by the name of Andrew Jones, and he was fired, and he was suing a few years ago for racial discrimination. Okay, since we're talking about the cast, let's look at this. I want you to look at this.
Yesterday, I came forward about the racial discrimination that I unfortunately dealt with at the Young Turks, and it certainly wasn't easy to do. My time at the Young Turks was both humiliating and unfortunate. In response, my old boss, Jink Uger, insinuated that I lied. He couldn't be more wrong. When I went to Jink for help, he responded by telling me his old boss would tell me to shut the up and I should just deal with it. He also told me complaining about my discrimination complaints was something amounting to a fireable offense. I filed a complaint with the New York State Division of Human Rights because it's not right for journalists or anyone of color to be treated this way. The day has come.
Here's that people of color stuff, though. You know he's not on code. You know somebody's not on code when they say that. But let's continue.
For us to pull back the curtain on what really happens, even in progressive media. Cenk also said yesterday, quote, "We care a great deal about diversity in the workplace. That is part and parcel of what we do." Sadly, the Young Turks couldn't be further from that perceived ethos that he thinks his organization conducts. The Young Turks started their brand writing about African Americans in horrible terms. Their head of HR, Dave Kohler, wrote about black people in old blog post discovered last month, quote, "Poor black people sweating in the sun." That was the same person who investigated my complaints by talking to me on the phone only once about my discriminatory complaints against my supervisor and never talking to me again about what the investigation he conducted resulted in. Cenk Uygur also said this about Native Americans in those old blog posts, quote, "Those Redskins show up everywhere, there's a buck to be made." And both Cenk and David Kohler joined themselves in shooting bottle rockets at the Martin Luther King Memorial. All those past actions both Cenk and Dave Kohler never apologized for until they were called out in press last month. So it's not shocking that when I needed help to have my claims of discrimination fully investigated, that there was no help to be found. I was either ignored or told to deal with it. Then I was placed under suspension, and then I was eventually fired/terminated.
So that's the Young Turks. And if you notice something, okay, I'm gonna show you a clip, because this isn't just some regular reporter dude. This dude has been through, let me show you. Even according to the Young Turks. I want you to listen to out of that dude's mouth. I think his name is Kurt's mouth. Listen to what he has to say about him when he first got hired.
The Guardian, meaning these are
all of the stations he's worked for prior to the Young Turks.
Places he's contributed, written at, been published at. Salon, SB Nation, he also does sports. MSNBC, Talking Points Memo, Raw Story, Ebony Magazine, Wall Street Journal, Alternate, and Fusion Network. Can't wait. I think that he's going to focus on politics, of course, culture, and like I said, a little bit of sports. He says he's quick to emphasize that he's from Brooklyn, not just New York. Okay, don't hold that against him. I have not yet determined whether he's a hipster. We're going to have our other investigative reporters look into that. Okay, so I want to welcome Andrew on board.
So this is him welcoming him on. So this, I'm showing you this clip to say that Andrew isn't just this. It's not like he was being a lazy reporter. It's not like he was being a bad reporter. He's a bad reporter. And then when he's about to get fired, because this is what they do. This is what those people do. When they want to fire a black person on some racist, on being racist, if there's a racial motive for firing the black person, they'll say, "Oh, well, you weren't really that good anyway. You know, you weren't that great of a reporter anyway. You were, other people had issues with you." Now, this dude ran through his rap sheet when he hired him. He ran through his rap sheet when he hired him of all of the news channels or whatever he worked for and did some type of work or publishing for. And he said, "Oh, I'm so happy to have you on." I guess he thought he was going to hire some type of uppity, submissive Negro and wind up not getting that. And Andrew bucked a little bit more than what the Young Turks normally tolerated, because they don't have a lot of black people at all. Despite talking about black issues very often, they don't have a lot of black people on their staff pretty much at all. So I guess they're not really used to black people talking to them like at all, period, and especially talking back. So they started to get buck with him. And now they really threw this under the rug. They really tried to sweep this under the rug. There was no really public statement. He never really addressed the lawsuit that he had. The person who, like he said, investigated made anti-black comments before. So all of them are like low-key white supremacists. All of these are suspected white supremacists, disguised as progressives. Disguised as progressive. They're not, though. All of them. Okay? Another thing. The female, the white woman on there too. She's normally tagged, like partnered up with him. Okay. I want you to say that. I want you to see this difference. Okay. In clips, it's almost like a night and day, kind of black and white, so to speak. Now, this was her comments after Bill Cosby was released. Let me show you. Her comments after Bill Cosby was released. Now, this is fair use, but I'm only playing like 20, maybe 30 seconds of it.
The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has reversed the criminal conviction of Bill Cosby. Now, this is due to a technicality. This isn't because he's actually innocent. And that's why we have a legal system as opposed to an actual justice system. So let me tell you the details on what the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled and how they ruled to vacate his conviction. They stated that Cosby had been double-crossed by prosecutors in this case. The divided court ruled that the 83-year-old comedian who has served more than 2 years of a 3 to 10-year sentence had been denied a fair trial, citing an agreement struck with a previous prosecutor, that the justices said barred Cosby from ever being charged with the 2004 assault of Temple University employee Andrea Constant. Now, that previous agreement, from what I gather, wasn't something in writing, so it's kind of weird that they're making this decision based on, I guess, a verbal agreement.
It's an ungentleman's agreement.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's what? He admitted to drugging and raping women. I mean, okay.
Yes, but justice.
How is this justice?
I don't know.
Let me give you more. Justice David Wetch, writing for the majority, said.
Look at the way she's talking. Bill Cosby was found, and I made a few videos. I made a video when he got released where I broke down the agreement and why they actually had to release him. Because they imprisoned him illegally. He was illegally imprisoned. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Bill Cosby actually did not confess to drugging and raping women. His statements, the prosecutor's statements and his statements are all in that video, so you can check that video out. Bill Cosby actually didn't. But okay, that's her on Bill Cosby. See how angry she is. Her first thing, just because he's released, just because he was released from prison doesn't mean he's innocent. He's not guilty doesn't mean he's innocent. So she's saying, oh, this is why we have she said a criminal system instead of a justice system, an actual justice system. Okay, all right. Okay. Now I want you to listen to and pay attention to the way she says what she says, her body language in saying what she's saying. I'm gonna take that back just a little bit. Okay, before she finishes, look at how disturbed she is by saying this. She's not using the words accusation. She's not using the words accusers. She's using it as if he was caught red-handed and got off on a technicality, and it wasn't a technicality at all. He got off because he was falsely imprisoned. But I already broke that down in the video. Okay. I broke that down in the video. So if you want to know what I mean, you can go watch that one and listen to this, right?
The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has reversed the criminal conviction of Bill Cosby. Now, this is due to a technicality. This isn't because he's actually innocent. And that's
just okay. All right. Technicality because he's not actually innocent. Okay. Notice body language can emphasize specific words if you move a certain way. When she's talking and she says technicality, she leans forward to emphasize the word technicality. Then she leans forward again to emphasize the word innocent when she says he's not innocent. Okay, so she's saying he's still guilty. According to I'm white and I say so, because she can't prove he's guilty. According to the technicality he got released from, the actual statement, which I read in that whole video, the actual statement, he did not confess to drugging and raping women. But okay, if that's how she feels, maybe she's just a feminist and she feels women should be protected and empowered. Okay, all right, and that's cool. All right, that's cool, that's cool. Then saw this video of her, and this is her reporting on Harvey Weinstein. And I want you to notice the difference in energy she gives to both of these people. Okay?
Harvey Weinstein, the notorious Hollywood film studio owner, the person behind a number of very popular films throughout decades, has been accused by dozens of women of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and in new allegations that were uncovered by Ronan Farrow in the New Yorker, rape. Now, the accounts that these women detail are incredibly detailed, and in a statement that he had released last week, he doesn't seem to deny cases of sexual harassment. However, he unequivocally denies that he ever raped anyone. However, I want to give you the details of what has been alleged, and we can get into other details later in the story.
Now, do you notice words that she used? She used the words alleged. She used the words alleged multiple times. With Bill Cosby, and that's not her only clip about talking about Bill Cosby, but with Bill Cosby, she doesn't use the word alleged at all. She's not using the words alleged. She's not using the words allegations or anything. But with Harvey Weinstein, notice how calm she's moving. She's not bobbing her head. She's not showing that energy. She's sitting there with her hands are literally locked together on the table. Yeah, okay, so he has all of these accusers coming out and blah, blah, blah. And yes, and notice she said too, the first thing she's talking about is his accomplishments.
Now, of course, the accounts that these women detail are
hold on. When
incredibly
she talks about
Harvey
how
Weinstein, the notorious Hollywood film studio owner, the person behind a number of very popular films throughout decades.
The person behind a number of very popular films throughout decades. Okay, so she's giving him his props for what he did. Notice she didn't start off when she was talking about Bill Cosby. She's not like, oh yeah, the person behind a famous sitcom, a famous legendary comedian behind. She didn't say that. She didn't start the conversation off with his credentials. She started Harvey Weinstein's off with, oh yeah, he's made films people love throughout decades, and he has some accusers, and look at, she's just reading the paper as if she has no attachment to the story and she's just reporting the news. But when she was talking about Bill Cosby, you can clearly tell that just because he got let go off a technicality, that doesn't mean he's innocent. You notice the anti-black slant of the Young Turks. You got racial discrimination. They don't stand up for reparations. They'll go heavy in the paint against the black man, but they don't have that same energy for a white man. Notice all these cases right here, right? And you still get some, you know what? Let me watch my tongue. But you still get some bootlick Negroes who are too, let me see. Who are too impressed with non-black people saying basic things. Lord, protect this man. Do you know who this man is? Do you know who this man is? And the whole organization thing he runs? Just because he said that black people shouldn't be called savages, that the white ringers are savages, okay. But all of his staff have this anti-black slant to him. He barely has black people. Even when he brings the main speakers on, he barely has black people talking. Even though he capitalized, he makes money off of talking about black issues. Anytime a black person is shot, he's making money off of talking about that. Him and that white woman, that Karen, are talking about black issues, but they don't have a black person talking about that. The black issues that they're talking about, they don't actually bring up tangible solutions. They don't bring up reparations. When they talk about reparations, it's just a whole bunch of words about, oh, well, we paid it to them, we paid it to them. So it's a conversation. That's that HR 40 nonsense. It's a conversation that we can have. Okay, let me see. This is them with AOC on their channel. They support Bernie Sanders, AOC, all of those left-leaning, whatever the hell. Okay, and you already know with what AOC, how she feels about reparations. You already know how Bernie Sanders feels about reparations. None of them support reparations, and all of them are friends with people who do not support reparations. Okay. So no. We really got to get to a point where we stop being like head over heels impressed. Head over heels impressed with non-black people saying basic stuff. I was not impressed by that. It seemed kind of disingenuous the way he was going off. That just seemed that it really seemed fake. It really seemed like he was trying too hard. Oh, Lord, have mercy, y'all. Check out some of the comments real quick before I get off here. I'm about to get off in a few minutes, so if you guys have some questions. There was a question that was asked. I'm gonna scroll up to, because you guys were asking some questions. Try to address some questions you guys have before I get off of here. Okay, let's see. We have approximately 50 million. It says 50 million descendants of American slave, ADOS, FBA. What percent of us do you believe are actually B1 who can work with for our survival? If that's, I would say, what percent do we have currently today? Based off of everything, I would say it's more than who are actually like not just pro-black, who are actually like black first B1. I would say they're about like maybe out of all black people, maybe like 12%, like over 10%. I would definitely say so, because the moves we're making just are too impactful to be like a 5%. It has to be at least about 10%, because we're making moves and we're setting trends. So I would say about 15%, but that's just me. I'm not like really looking into the numbers and really calculating that. That's just off at the top of my head. Okay. The left wing is just as racist as the right wing, of course. Yep. It says we're actually 16 right now. How many of that? Okay, 16. You said 15. I said 16. I said 15. You said 16. Pretty much same thing. It says right now, how many of that 16 do you believe don't know that the left? Yeah. Okay. I believe if you're black first, you know for a fact that the left and the right are the same. 18 of right now. How many of 18 do you believe? All right. So yeah, I don't think anybody believes that. I don't think anybody believes in here in this chat room. If you're following me, if you're subscribed to me and liking this content, I'm pretty sure that you know for a fact that the white wing and the right, like the white and the left, are the same. They're the same. They talk differently sometimes, whatever, but they're the same. They both are anti-black. They're both are racist. If it's over 10%, we would not be at the bottom. If it was 5%, I mean, okay. First of all, we have to understand, just because we have some people who are on code, the 10% are not in the same place. And I'm saying 10%. 10% of us are in there. 10%. I would say 10%, because clearly we're making enough noise for politicians to even discuss reparations, for them to even talk about white supremacy. When I was young, the words white supremacy wasn't spoken of. We were using the term racist to describe everything. Now we're using the term white supremacy. Now everybody is using that term white supremacy because of the 10%, because of the black grassroots, the small number of us who are black first. We are having police being locked up, actually thrown in jail. White supremacists being actually thrown in jail. I mean, there are small things, there are small trends being made, trends being set. That doesn't mean we're big. We're not big yet. Okay, we're not big yet, but I will say it's over 10%. I would definitely say that. I mean, you wouldn't even be having politicians even addressing reparations if a bunch of black people weren't talking about reparations. Okay. Now, earlier today, when somebody asked what video I was making, and I said I was going to talk about this, and I was going to really steer this off into reparations, right? Because they brought this up, and the first thing I know about them is, hey, they don't support reparations. So we had a small conversation about reparations, and he played the devil's advocate to an extent. So I'm not gonna like shame him. I'm not gonna say he was a coon or anything, because he told me, he's all like, okay, I see what your coming point, but just to have a conversation, let me play the devil's advocate, right? Some of the things he believed and some of the things he didn't believe. Okay. First off, when he said reparations, and he says, what do I mean by that? I meant specifically, we're starting off with cash payments to the descendants of American slaves, to the foundational Black Americans, okay, to those people, to those descendants, to the slaves that were the enslaved Black people who built America. Their descendants deserve cash payment reparations, okay? That's to start off. And he said, and I don't know if this was his thing or not, because he said this before. He was like, okay, well, what about the 40 acres and a mule? Isn't that reparations? I'm like, well, technically no, because we didn't get the 40 acres and a mule, actually. It was, I keep getting this confused. It was Andrew Johnson, who the president, it was either Andrew Jackson, Andrew Johnson. I always get those mixed up. But it was Andrew, hold on, I'm not gonna get it mixed up. Let me see one thing real quick. Open the $20, I'm opening a $20 bill. It was Andrew Johnson. It was Andrew Johnson, the president after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated after the Civil War, because Lincoln was assassinated shortly after the Civil War. And Black people, because we had a deal, we met with the Union General. There was Black leaders who met with the Union General, and we set a deal, we set an arrangement for us to get what would be considered a bare minimum for us leaving the plantation, so we can have some type of economic base, economic foundation to build upon. Okay. Andrew Johnson, he was a sympathizer with the Confederacy. So after Lincoln's assassination, the land that was supposed, the 40 acres that we were supposed to get, actually went back to the Confederacy. So the slave owners got their land back. So we didn't get that at all. Okay. Damn, you can argue, you can make the actual strong argument that the condition for Black people, a large amount got worse. In some ways, it got worse for Black people after slavery. Okay. That argument actually can be made right afterwards. So we didn't get the 40. I don't know where, because I've heard that between a couple of people, we didn't get the 40 acres and a mule. Okay, let's stop saying that. Then he said, he was all like, okay, well, what about the Native Americans? What about, I mean, if we're gonna pay reparations for slavery and the descendants of slaves, then what about reparations for the Native Americans and everything like that? And then you're gonna have to talk about reparations to the Japanese and everything. And I'm like, okay. And we were having a normal, respectful dialogue, just back and forth. I said, okay, first off, Native Americans already got theirs. Well, they got theirs. Okay. They got what's that thing? Not sanctuary cities. I think that they got reservations that Black people, the freedmen, were supposed to be included in, that we were actually kicked out of the reservations that we were supposed to be included in. They got reservations, not paying tax exemptions. They get benefits. They get casinos, things like that. So they got theirs. They're in a better condition, and they didn't have to go through what we went through. There were Native Americans, which you would consider Native Americans, the red Native Americans, who are actual slave catchers. Okay, they caught slaves and brought them back to their slave owners. There were Native Americans, and I'm saying the red Native Americans because us as foundational Black Americans, we are Native Americans, to be honest. But I'm saying, because when they say Native Americans, they mean the Mongolian looking Native Americans. So that's what they're referring to. They were slave owners, and they fought with the Confederacy against the Union to protect slavery. Okay? I didn't say all that, but that's the first thing I thought of. But the first thing I said was, okay, they got theirs. They got casinos, they got land, they don't pay taxes, they got stuff. They get benefits from being Native American. They get special handouts, special set-asides for being Native American. We don't get special anything for being descendants of slaves. We don't get that. And I said, why is it when they get something, it can be just for them? It can be exclusively, specifically for them. They don't have to share. It can be just about them and whatever happened to them. And nobody brings up black people in the conversation. When you're talking about Native Americans getting some type of land, some type of resort or tax exemption or anything, nobody says we can't do that to Native Americans because then we have to include black people. With the Japanese in the internment camps, when their descendants got reparations, nobody said, well, we can't give your descendants reparations because then we'd have to give the foundationals, we'd have to give their descendants reparations. Nobody says that. When it's another group getting something specifically to them, specifically for them, nobody says, well, we have to include black people. Nobody says that at all. Only when it's specifically black people do people say, okay, well, we have to include the Native Americans, we have to include the Japanese, we have to include the Hispanics, we have to include them, we have to include them. Black people are the only group of people who are always made to share something beneficial. When affirmative action, and we will talk about that in just a second, but with affirmative action, we couldn't even keep that exclusively to us, even though that's not reparations. But affirmative action was originally designed for black people because we were discriminated with jobs in the job market and schools for positions that we justifiably should have been in because we met the criteria, but we were discriminated. So then affirmative action was created to countermeasure the discrimination that we faced. Then they said, okay, instead of black or instead of specifically us, let's broaden the term to minority, and then we'll just make everybody and their mama a minority. So you're a minority, you're a minority. They're like, damn it, Oprah Winfrey, you're a minority, and you're a minority, and you're a minority, and you're a minority. So it's so broad that black people got filtered out, and now white people benefit from affirmative action more than black people do. White women specifically benefit more. They're the number one beneficiaries of affirmative action over black people, even though the policy was made for black people. He brought that up too. And this is just, like I said, this is him just being, playing the devil's advocate for the conversation, right? Okay. He says, why, like, what about all the like government assistance, housing, and welfare and all that stuff? And I was to say, okay, number one, and he was like, all that stuff that's geared to black people. First off, let's say for a fact that it is geared to black people. That's not reparations. Black people are taxpayers. We pay the government. So when we need assistance from the government that we pay, and they give us limited assistance, they don't give us the assistance we need to get out of poverty. They just give us the assistance we need to kind of live in poverty. You don't ever see welfare taking somebody, they don't ever give you a business loan or anything like that. They don't give you a loan for business. They'll give you some food stamps, though, that you can't sell. You're not supposed to sell your food stamps to make money, to do something on the side, to get yourself out of poverty, but they'll give you some food stamps so you can go buy some oodles and noodles. Okay? That's what the government will do. You pay the government regardless. The government takes money out of your check despite what you want or not. Okay? They coming for that money. but they're not going to give you the money to get out of your situation. Okay, that's one. So don't even think that the government assistance, welfare, whatever, that's not reparations. Okay. Number two, reparations is supposed to be exclusive and strict for the group that was aggrieved. If everybody and their mama gets the same thing, then it's not reparations. Everybody, anybody, even now illegal citizens can apply for government assistance. And a lot of the times they get government assistance before black people, before foundational black Americans do. So that's not reparations, because reparations has to be specific. White people are the number one. White people, your mind will be blown if you find out how often white people use government assistance. White people know the ins and out of government assistance, okay? Don't let them try to use the government assistance thing against black people. They only do it against black people when white people benefit the most from it, okay? They benefit the most, but they trying to use that against us. No. So that was an interesting conversation. I'm glad we had that conversation. Okay, reparations starts off, because we're not ending there, but starts off with cash payments in the trillions of dollars. We're not doing okay, we'll throw you a few million, we'll throw you some billion. No, trillions of dollars. I think last time I heard a number, it was like, 17 trillion. Let's just round that up and make it a good $20 trillion. I think that we should just round it up just to make it easier for them to calculate. We'll just round that up and we'll say specifically, exclusively to the descendants of American slaves, they will get cash reparations. We will disseminate the $20 trillion of reparations to them, specifically to them. Okay. And any person who does not support that, Young Turks, cough, cough, Young Turks, anyone who does not support that does not support black people. I don't care what they say. I don't care how passionate they seem. If they do not support reparations, cash payment reparations exclusively to the descendants of American slaves, to the foundational black Americans, they do not support black people. I don't care what they say. They can be marching down the street. They can be talking about Black Lives Matter. They can be doing, If it's not about reparations, if they do not support reparations, they do not support black people. And that's that. And the Young Turks, first off, have a racist history, but even if they didn't, they don't support reparations. They don't support it. Okay. They don't support black people, and black people, and of course, reading your chats, you guys have been stopped watching them, so have I, but they don't support them, they don't support us, and we won't support them. And we need to stop being so quick to jump to supporting and to giving props to non-black people just for saying that racism is bad. I swear, I don't know what is up with you guys and your Stockholm syndrome, with your Messiah complex, where you see a non-black person say, you know what? I don't really mind Negroes. And y'all like, really? We really need that? Oh my God. Racism is over. Stop. You look weak and pathetic. That caption, Lord, protect this man, looked weak and pathetic. Okay. Let me see. So I didn't know that. So the question for me is how to encourage. Ready? Is there trolling going on? I see the word trolling in the chat. There's a lot of white people on food stamps in Orange Park, Florida. It's a lot of white people on food stamps. Man, it'd blow your mind how many white people on government assistance. It's just the fact that different platforms to learn how to be a student. I'm gonna have to go. I have work soon, actually. I'm gonna have to leave, and I have some things to do before I go to work. So I'm a busy man, as you guys know. I will have to go. Thank you, everyone who's in this in the chat room. Thank you, everybody who's liked. If you haven't liked, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. You can follow me on my social media at J_Elite10, both on Instagram and Twitter. We're still on the campaign to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month. We can still do that. That can still be done. YouTube is sabotaging, and that's what they do. But we can still outwork them. We can still outdo them. Okay, I'm still working to outdo them, and you guys are liking and sharing, and you guys are still helping me. So I appreciate that. But I gotta get out of here, family. Y'all be cool. Y'all be safe. You know, we black first, and we coming in. We taking over. Somebody, yep. We taking over. We're not being fooled. We're not being bamboozled by the Young Turks. We know who they are. We've had people in the black media. Professor Black's Truth has exposed them years ago. Okay. We're not being wooed by any non-black people anymore. We're smarter than that now. But y'all take care, family.